the first matchup on Thanksgiving morning is Switzerland, the team that you could say is the reason that Italy is not in this World Cup, versus Cameroon, a team that somehow got in the World Cup despite Algeria having the win with like a second to go in the match with one kick.
Mahrez, man.
But anyways, so two teams with an interesting history on their path to get to the World Cup. And honestly, Group G and H here are some of the more under talked about groups in this league because you have some other exciting groups, but these groups can still make the World Cup very interesting. I'm curious to hear your guys' opinions. Let's start off with this first game. As I mentioned, Switzerland versus Cameroon. Does Cameroon stand a chance, or will Switzerland maybe continue its not so great form like in Nations League?
They might not be in great form in the Nations League, but Switzerland is a very, very good team, and they remind me a lot of Denmark with that dark horse ability. The issue is that they tend, what I've noticed with Switzerland is that they tend to play up to their opponents and then down to their opponents. So basically what I mean by that is that if the team is like a heavy favorite, like France, for example, they tend to play really well and they're able to get these counterattacks in, you know? But when they're playing against a team that isn't as well known or as highly marked, like Cameroon, I feel like they tend to struggle because they tend to play down to like that level and they're not playing as intensely as they would against a bigger team. Which is why I kind of see this going 1-1 draw. I think Switzerland probably deserves to win, but I just don't see it happening. I feel like they're going to play down to Cameroon. And not that Cameroon is a bad team by any means. I just don't think that they're going to have that same energy, that same team, combination of team focus and unison that they had against France, against Cameroon, at least this part in the competition. I think it's going to take another game or two until we really see that version of Switzerland again, which is why I think that it's going to be a slow start for them with a 1-1 tie.
I like that. No, it's funny that you brought up that point because I was going to say almost the same thing. It's really odd because Switzerland do play really well against really good countries, and then not so well against not as good countries. So it's kind of odd. I completely agree with that. But for me, I do like Switzerland in this one. I actually got them winning this 2-0. Cameroon is just so lucky to be here. Like, they're not a bad team, but again, that Algeria game, I mean, it really should have been them. But, I mean, hey, they did it. They got here. But I just think they're really, really going to struggle in this group. I just don't see a lot of promise for Cameroon here. And even though Switzerland, they struggle against lesser opponents, I just think Switzerland understand the circumstance they're in, that they need to get 3 points here.
Right.
Because they play Brazil next. So they understand what needs to happen. And like maybe because it's the World Cup, they raise those expectations a little bit and actually play up to Cameroon instead of down to them.
Right.
So
it could happen.
It could. And Switzerland's got some very solid players. They're a good balance of veterans, some strong veterans, and a few young players in there too. I think Switzerland's just going to overwhelm this Cameroon team and get a good 2-0 result.